So just concluded season 2, episode 12 of Fire Away with Greg Vertelman. We talked about social media in the hiring process, and we also talked about some instances of people who were already hired but quickly fired after they posted things online. It's now 2020, and yet people still don't seem to understand the fact that what they post online can have consequences and cost them their job. It's amazing how often our firm is still involved in cases where people have done things online and now find themselves either fighting for their job or fighting to get some compensation because they claim they were fired inappropriately, when the reality was that the employer had every reason to let them go, but people were shocked that what they did on their own time online can come back to haunt them. And one of my favorite things is when you see one of these stories break where someone has posted something online and lost their job. I love tuning into talk radio the next day and listening to the conversation. And inevitably, at some point, somebody will say that we have freedom of speech in Canada and the fact they lost their job is simply unlawful. And the reality is that's simply wrong. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. All it means is that you can't be criminally prosecuted for what you say, and even that has some limits. But the reality is you can be disciplined, you can be dismissed as a result of what you do online. Now, the default is that what you do on your own time is your own business. But the law has always said that if you do something that is off duty or while you're off duty, but it has an impact on your employer or on the employment relationship, you can be disciplined up to and, of course, including dismissal. By way of example, if you are trashing your supervisor online, if you are making comments that make your colleagues uncomfortable working with you, if you say something that damages your employer's reputation or their brand, all of those things can justify discipline and, in some cases, dismissal. That has always been the law, but of course we're seeing it applied far more often now because what people do on off duty is often online and there's a permanent record of it. So the reality is you can lose your job. You can also lose future opportunities. Thank you, Elmo, for being our poster child of what not to post when you have a job, especially if you are friends with your boss on whichever platform you choose to post it on. You can lose your job. You can lose future opportunities, as Greg and I discussed in season 2, episode 12. Employers are checking social media. They are going to see what you've posted, what you've said, pictures of you, pictures that you post, and they're going to make judgments because of that. So what I always tell our clients and anyone else that will listen to me, think before you post. Don't assume you can delete it later. Don't assume that because your settings are set to private that therefore your employer is never going to see what you posted, because a lot of the cases we are dealing with started because somebody posted something online and one of their work friends saw it and quickly took it to HR and said, look what I saw, and it led to consequences. You'd be amazed how often that happens. The best advice is still the same as it has been for years. Don't post anything that you would not want your grandmother to see if they were checking you out online. That's my 2 cents worth, and you got here today for free.